Hey, Toby, how are you? So great to be with you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. We had a nice little pre-recording conversation about the disruption of Corona, and it's complicated our lives in so many ways. And what I've been talking with people about in these short, powerful conversations, really very powerful for me. I've learned a ton, and the conception behind it is to help people. We've all been disrupted. It seems to be happening relatively often, like every 10 years. It seems like something else just knocks us to the side and uproots us at our core. We think we're growing and we're building and the market is great and everything is booming. And then just something happens that forces us to reassess, where we are and what's going on. And I know that you are very focused on education. You deliver things in your unique bite-sized style. But specifically, what I'd love to talk to you about is something that I think is near and dear to your heart, that from my perspective, looking at it as a leadership coach, looking at it, working with clients who are struggling with the whole remote piece in particular, is human skills, soft skills, and relationships. And they all kind of like tie in together. So feel free. I want to give you the floor and let you kind of talk to this any way you're most comfortable. But I'd love to hear from your perspective. Number one, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned from Corona? It doesn't have to be soft skills specific, but ultimately what I would love to be able to unpack with you are a few key takeaways as we're thinking about wrapping up, hopefully in the not too distant future, at least the primary impact of Corona, and then looking ahead to make sure that we are better prepared moving forward. What would you say people need to be thinking about, working on, developing, so that they're just more disaster proof moving forward in these key areas?
Thank you. So what I have really seen is there's generally a greater awareness now of those skills that are absolutely necessary. We're thinking somebody's doing well at work. They are very particular, really well with the technology end over there, but they were lacking, so to say, as we have mentioned, the people skills, known sometimes as interpersonal skills, soft skills. However, we can call them any different term, but the most important thing for us really to know is it starts with awareness, right? The awareness of those skills that we have, and those are the skills that we're always going to utilize for the future. They're known as transferable skills, which is skills that you can use in whichever aspect, whichever industry, whichever career you are in. So to say, I had clients that started in the tech industry and had moved on to different industries. I had clients in the educational industry. I work a tremendous amount out there in the educational field, and they actually had taken those particular skills known as transferable skills and moved them on. So those that were very strong in these particular skills are the ones who I'm seeing doing better. I see them actually being able to handle the situation and realizing that they can take those particular skills and actually succeed with the current situation. Granted, it's tough. There's a lot of difficult things going on over there, but if they utilize those skills, they can do so much more and so much better.
So let's stay there for a moment, Toby, because I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because oftentimes, I mean, we saw this even before Corona, people having to do somewhat of a career reorientation from time to time. The idea that we're going to find a job and stay with a company for 3-4 decades and retire with them, that's out the window for a long time already. Let's talk about the transferability, if you will, of the skills, not just from industry to industry, but from personal to professional, from, transferring them for your family as well as for your team. And where are some examples there, and how can we be thinking differently about that so that when we're put into situations that are new and very likely uncomfortable, such as remote working, that we have the skills we need to succeed?
So let me actually just give you a personal example. I got children at home. I got work that needs to be done. I got a household that actually needs to be cared for. How am I juggling it all? Forget about the whole idea of the work-life balance and all that terminology. Let's throw that aside a second. How am I honestly going ahead to do it? So one of the skills that I do teach is time management. How are you going to manage the time? How are you going to prioritize? What are you going to do? What are you going to delegate? What are you going to drop? So it's really shifting focus and say, listen, Toby, you're not in an ideal situation. Kids need to be taken care of. Work got to be done. How are you going to do it? If I don't have the skills, I can say, forget it, giving up, I'm staying in bed, I'm not getting up. But obviously I can't.
Right.
And that's generally where those skills come out and say, okay, focus. Toby, do exactly what you do with your clients. How are you going to take those skills and have a successful day, successful weeks, and a successful month? And that's really what happened is, yes, I have to time manage. I learned to manage my time, learn to prioritize, and manage to keep some balls in the air, not all.
Yeah, I love this because it's right in my wheelhouse as well. Just did a talk on productivity. I have a productivity blueprint out there and an assessment and all of that. And I heard the Eisenhower matrix and what you were describing. I certainly heard a lot on the delegation side, the 4Ds, a lot of different tools that we could be using to manage our time better, to create balance, whatever that balance looks like. Of course, it's a little bit different now. It's not just in the office versus out of the office. It's when the office and everything else kind of all come together in your basement or in your workspace or whatever it is, because there's just no boundaries anymore. And so we need to be creating healthy boundaries to the best of our ability, but also being honest with ourselves, I would say, on what's realistic, what can I control, and what do I have to let go. So I'm recording this in a relatively open space. I've got children in my general proximity, and I know that the possibility exists that I'm going to have a conversation with somebody that I'm recording, and at the same time someone's going to be asking for, where do we have more milk, or help with their homework, or whatever that might look like. And I think a lot of what we need to be doing is shifting our mind and saying it's okay to operate in a different way, because everybody at least understands what that looks like. And so long as we're doing our best and showing up, that's the most important thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's interesting as you're mentioning that so many other people skills and soft skills come into play. What does our communication look like? How do you run the meetings? What's your feedback? What's your preparation for the meetings? That takes soft skills. That takes people skills. That does not take hardcore skills. And those are the skills that are going to help you succeed. If you can run that meeting well while having somebody's daughter come in and somebody's dog sitting on their lap, then obviously you can go ahead and take it to the next step and succeed. But the question is how you're doing it and how well prepared are you to actually go ahead to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And this, like I said, it's a reorientation of our mindset. And so thinking of that for a minute, as you're thinking forward, and this is going to be my final question for you, and you're kind of projecting, you've put on your prophetic hat and you're thinking about the future with the lens of soft skills and human skill development, what would you say people should be thinking about moving forward, either in terms of learning or what the futuristic workplace might start to look like that will position them for future success?
I love that question. And the reason is it starts with awareness. And that's with any professional development, self-development, personal development, all starts with that baseline of awareness of, hey, how can I do better? How can I just take the next step forward? How are things going to go ahead to change? And that's really where any growth, any learning starts with that basic awareness over there as the foundation. So once you got that awareness and you're realizing that, you know what, my computer skills did not help me succeed during this pandemic. It was actually my relationship skills. It was my communication skills. It was my people skills that really helped me take it that next step up and realizing those are the skills that I should be honing. And those are the skills that I should be working on, because those are the skills that really get me to that next step. Forget about all the data out there, because the data does show that it's the soft skills that help somebody get the promotion or the next job. But we're seeing it right now. And once we have our eyes open and we're aware of the situation, we're realizing that it's these skills that are going to help us take the next step further. So I definitely am seeing a change towards professional, personal growth out there. People are starting to realize, hey, I got to take care of myself. And I could still work while I take care of myself. And I could still have my kids home and sometimes walking in on the Zoom meetings as well. But I can do it. But that depends on their awareness level. And that depends on how strong are they in those people skills, on those soft skills, on those interpersonal skills. And then they could take it to the next step of success.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for packing a bite-sized powerhouse, if you will, into a short period of time, and for getting us focused again on our soft skills, on our relationships, our emotional intelligence, all of the above. And let's keep working hard to break through and disaster-proof our lives and our relationships. Thanks again, Toby.
Thank you for having me.